Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. This time, we're not physically traveling, but we're taking a deep dive into Lisbon, Portugal.
Lisbon.
Yeah, the real estate market there.
Yeah.
And we're going to be using, well, really looking at how generative AI is changing things.
Yeah. It's really incredible to see how this technology is being used in real estate. I mean, it's always been such a, gut feeling kind of
Right. And there's so
business.
much intuition.
Intuition, exactly. Yeah. Local knowledge. And now AI is giving us a whole new way to understand it, to see those patterns that, maybe we wouldn't have noticed before.
Like hidden in plain sight.
Exactly.
So if you're listening and you've ever thought about maybe owning a piece of Lisbon, or if you're just, fascinated by how this technology is changing things, this is the episode for you. Our guide for this deep dive is a research paper that used Gen AI to build this whole knowledge base of Lisbon's real estate.
It's fascinating.
We're going to be talking about trends in pricing, the amenities they offer, even the language they use in those listings to attract buyers.
It's like, imagine you're trying to make sense of a city's real estate market just by browsing online listings. It's overwhelming.
It's got to be so much information.
It is. It's like drinking from a fire hose. There's just so much out there, but it's hard to make sense of it all.
Right, to see the big picture.
Exactly. And that's where Gen AI comes in. It's like having a super smart research assistant who can read through all those listings, pull out the key information, and organize it.
That's a great analogy.
Thanks.
So, I mean, the research paper really highlights just how complex the real estate market is, right? I mean, there's so many factors at play.
Oh, absolutely. And that complexity just makes good data all the more valuable.
I would imagine so.
The problem is, real estate information is often so scattered, unstructured,
Yeah.
It's like trying to solve a puzzle with half the pieces missing.
Yeah, and I imagine that's where Gen AI steps in.
You got it. The researchers use what are called LLMs, large language models.
Right.
And think of it like you're asking this super smart librarian who's read every real estate book ever. You ask a question, they pull out the most relevant information.
I like that analogy.
It works.
So how did they actually go about building this knowledge base of Lisbon's real estate market?
Well, they started with supercasa.pt, which is a really popular Portuguese real estate website,
Okay.
focused specifically on Lisbon listings.
Yeah.
We're talking over 21,000 listings.
Wow.
It's massive, a massive amount of data
I can't even imagine.
to go through. Yeah.
So I'm guessing they didn't just read through every single listing one by one.
No, you're right. They use something called web scraping to gather the data.
Web scraping, I've heard of that.
But the thing is, raw scraped data is messy.
I bet.
It's like this giant pile of puzzle pieces just all jumbled up.
So how do they make sense of it all? Is that where the AI magic comes in?
That is exactly where the AI magic comes in. That's where Gen AI and LLMs really shine. They can take that messy data, clean it up, organize it, and make it usable.
Okay.
For example, you think about property prices.
Yeah.
Listings often show multiple prices as the asking price changes over time right now.
Makes sense.
The AI has to be smart enough to figure out which price is the current one.
So it's not just about collecting the data, it's about understanding the context.
Exactly. The research paper gives this example. One listing showed €232,500, €242,500, 4%.
Okay.
The AI correctly identified €232,500 as the current asking price because it understood what that down arrow and percentage meant.
Wow, that's really impressive. So what other kind of detective work did the AI have to do?
Well, another challenge was categorizing the property types. Listings can be vague.
Right.
They might say house when it's actually a townhouse, or apartment when it's a condo.
Oh, yeah.
The AI had to be able to tell the difference between apartments, houses, land, even ruins.
Ruins?
Yeah, ruins, and categorize them all correctly.
That's amazing. I'm starting to see just how powerful this could be. Did the AI also tackle the whole location aspect?
Absolutely. It accurately identified the specific county within Lisbon for each property.
Okay.
There's this interesting example in the paper where a listing mentioned both Odivelas and Lisboa. Okay. Now, both are cities, but Odivelas is a specific county within the broader Lisbon district.
Ah.
The AI got it right, showing that it had this nuanced understanding of geography.
So it really is acting like a digital detective, putting all the pieces together.
Yeah, and it gets even better. So not only did the AI extract all this data, but it also summarized those long, rambling property descriptions.
Oh, man, those could be brutal.
Oh, I know.
Right. So long.
So long, and it condensed them into these concise bullet points, highlighting just the key features and, the surrounding area.
So now you have this incredible AI-powered knowledge base.
We do.
What kind of secrets did they uncover about Lisbon's real estate market?
Well, let's start with the price distribution. The analysis revealed that most of the listings were for lower-priced properties.
Okay.
This suggests that the market is really focused on affordability.
Interesting. So that might be good news for somebody on a budget.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Someone looking for like a luxury villa in Lisbon might have fewer options.
Fewer options.
Hmm.
Okay, so we're starting to see some big picture trends here. But data is just one part of the story, right? What about the language they use in those listings? Can the AI tell us anything about that?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not just about the numbers, it's about the story behind them. And the language in those listings can tell you a lot.
Oh, it can. And this is where the research gets really cool. They used a technique called word clouds to analyze the language.
Word clouds.
Yeah.
I love a good word cloud. It's a great way to visualize it, right?
Yeah.
To see which words pop up the
It's
most.
like a cheat sheet to understanding what people care about.
Exactly. And what they found was pretty striking. The word clouds for different price ranges were totally different.
Okay.
For example, listings between €100 and €149,000 focused a lot on location, access to amenities, words like opportunity and investment.
So appealing to those budget-conscious buyers looking for a deal.
Yeah, exactly. But as you move up in price, the language changes. Listings between €150,000 and €499,000 started to highlight specific features. Things like balconies, gardens, garages.
Moving beyond the basics, highlighting those lifestyle elements.
Exactly. And then when you hit the 500,000 to 999,000 range, you start seeing those luxury keywords, suite, pool design,
Fancy.
a whole different vocabulary.
What about those multi-million euro properties? What were they emphasizing?
Well, in the 1 million to 9 million range, the focus shifted to larger properties, estates even, and words like private and security became more common.
So exclusivity and privacy become big selling points.
Yeah, it seems like it.
At that level.
At that level, yeah.
It's fascinating how the language reflects the priorities of different buyers.
It is. It's really insightful.
So the AI isn't just organizing data, it's giving us a peek into the minds of these buyers.
Yeah, it's like having a secret decoder ring for the Lisbon real estate market.
Okay, so we've talked about the price distribution, location analysis, and even the language in the listings. The research paper also dives into price variations across different locations and property types, right?
Yeah, they do a deep dive on that. They have this chart, figure 10, that shows the price variation by location. Okay. Using something called a box plot,
Okay.
which is a way to visualize the median prices and the spread of prices in different areas.
So it's not just about being in Lisbon, it's about being in the right part of Lisbon.
Exactly. Some neighborhoods are going to be pricier than others, and the chart highlights some interesting outliers. Properties that are priced much higher or lower than the average for their location.
Outliers.
Um,
So is that a good thing or a bad thing?
well, it depends. It could be a hidden gem,
Okay.
or it could be a sign that something's not quite right. So you gotta figure out why it's an outlier.
You really have to look into it.
Yeah, do your research.
Okay, what about price variations by property type? Did they find anything surprising there?
They did. They have another chart, figure 11, that shows the price distribution for different property types.
Hmm.
One thing that stood out was the wide range of prices, even within certain categories.
Okay.
Like, for example, even within apartments, prices varied a lot depending on the size, the location, the amenities.
So even if you're comparing similar properties, like two-bedroom apartments in the same neighborhood, there's still a lot of nuance.
Oh, absolutely. And again, we see those outliers. Properties priced way above or way below the typical range for their type.
So those could represent opportunities.
They could. But again, you have to do your due diligence. Understand why a property is priced the way it is.
It all comes back to context.
It does.
Okay, so we've covered price distribution, location analysis, property types, even the language used in listings. What's the big takeaway here? What does all this AI analysis tell us about the Lisbon real estate market?
I think the key takeaway is that AI is giving us this powerful new set of tools to understand and interact with the real estate market. We're not just relying on gut feelings or anecdotal evidence anymore.
Right.
We can make more data-driven decisions.
And this is just the beginning,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
As AI keeps evolving, we're going to see even more sophisticated ways to analyze the market.
Absolutely. Imagine being able to predict market trends with even greater accuracy, or personalize property recommendations based on what you're looking for.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the possibilities are really exciting.
It sounds like AI is going to completely revolutionize how we buy and sell real estate.
It has the potential to.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember, AI is a tool,
Right.
not a crystal ball.
Not a magic solution.
Exactly. It's up to us to interpret the data, ask the right questions, and make smart decisions.
Be AI savvy, not AI dependent.
I like that.
Well said.
Yeah.
Now, before we wrap up, there's one more fascinating aspect of this research we haven't touched on yet. It has to do with the limitations of AI.
Right. Because as powerful as AI is, it's not perfect.
Of course not.
And it's important to understand those limitations before we go all in on algorithms.
Limitations. Okay.
Okay.
It's easy to get caught up in all the amazing things AI can do,
Yeah.
but like you said, it's not perfect.
Yeah.
So where did the AI stumble in this analysis of the real estate market? What were some of the challenges it ran into?
Well, one area where it struggled a bit was in city identification.
Okay.
We talked earlier about how it could accurately tell the difference between Odivelas and Lisbon, which are pretty close to each other. But there were cases where the AI got tripped up by like ambiguous language or listings that mentioned multiple locations.
So even though AI is really good at processing language,
Yeah.
sometimes those little nuances can still be tricky.
Yeah, exactly. And remember, AI is learning from the data it's given.
Right.
So if a listing is vague or inconsistent, it can throw the AI off.
That makes sense.
The researchers actually had to go back and manually correct some of those errors,
Oh, wow.
which really highlights how important human oversight is, even with AI.
So it's kind of like having a really smart assistant, but they're still learning the ropes.
Yeah, a good analogy.
And they need a little guidance sometimes.
Exactly. Another limitation they found was in identifying the real estate agents or agencies associated with listings.
Okay.
Sometimes the information was incomplete or formatted in a way that the AI wasn't expecting.
So it led to some mistakes.
Yeah, incorrect attributions, basically.
Yeah.
The AI was making assumptions based on the data it had, but those assumptions weren't always right.
So again, it all comes back to the data.
It does. AI is only as good as the data it's trained on. If the data is flawed, the analysis is going to be flawed too.
This brings us back to being critical consumers of information.
Yeah,
We can just blindly trust whatever an AI system tells us.
exactly.
We have to ask questions, understand its limitations, and use our own knowledge and judgment.
I think that's a crucial point, especially in real estate where there's so much at stake. You know, you're making big decisions based on this information, so you really need to be confident that it's accurate.
Right. So it's not about replacing human expertise with AI.
Yeah,
It's about using AI to make us better.
exactly. Enhance our understanding, help us make more informed decisions.
And that's what makes these deep dives so valuable.
I think so.
It's not just about, showing off all the cool things AI can do. It's about empowering people to navigate this complex world and to do it with a critical eye.
I like that.
So you're the one calling the shots. The AI is just there to help you.
A tool in the toolbox.
Exactly. Well, as we wrap up our look at AI in real estate, what's the one thing you want our listeners to remember?
I think the biggest takeaway is this AI is a powerful tool with incredible potential to change the real estate industry. But it's not a magic solution. It's not going to replace human expertise or the need for careful analysis and due diligence.
So the future of real estate, like a lot of other fields, depends on the collaboration between human and artificial intelligence.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance where we can use the strengths of both.
Combining our knowledge and experience with the power of data and these AI insights to ultimately make better decisions.
And as we move forward, it's so important to keep that learner mindset, constantly seeking out knowledge, questioning assumptions, and using technology to empower our own decision-making, not to replace it.
I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about today. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI and real estate.
It's been a pleasure.
It has been fun.
I always enjoy exploring these topics and seeing how technology changes things.
It's pretty amazing to see it unfold right in front of us.
It is.
Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep those questions coming.
Absolutely.